Let's turn then to our talking point. Is Udhayanidhi Stalin guilty of hate speech as his critics are accusing him now? Is the DMK's critique of Sanatan Dharma justified? Is the BJP trying to make political capital now of the DMK leader's remarks, and will they succeed? Joining me now, Guru Prakash Paswan, BJP spokesperson, Kancha Elaya is Dalit Bahujan rights activist, Sandeep Shastri, coordinator, Lokniti Network. Appreciate your joining us. I want to come to you, Guru Prakash, first, because you might have heard Karthi Chidambaram saying the BJP is no one to tell us what is Hinduism. This was a critique of Brahminical Hinduism as he believes it is understood in Tamil Nadu, the need for a casteless society. How do you respond to what you just heard, the defense of what the DMK leader said as a critique of Hinduism, rather than calling for the eradication or calling for any kind of genocide, he says?
Rajdeep ji, we must understand a couple of things first. Being anti-caste, does it automatically translate into being anti-Hindu? Absolutely not. If we look at the examples from our culture, from our civilization, Kabir, he was anti-caste, but he was not anti-Hindu. Ravidas, for that matter. Sant Ravidas was anti-caste, but he was not anti-Hindu. So to interpret it in such a manner that being anti-caste necessarily makes you an anti-Hindu, this is absolutely a preposterous argument. Number two, since morning, we have been hearing different sort of arguments. The definition of Sanatan in North is different. The definition and the imagination of Sanatan in the South is different. If that is the case, then why Shankaracharya, who was born in Kerala, he is building 4 mathas across the country, in the North, in the South, in the East, in the West. Go beyond that. We, in our everyday mantra, Jambu Dvipe Bharat Khande, this has happened much before that. We must understand that the Indy Alliance leadership, and this is not the first time, they met in Mumbai only a couple of days ago. There was no consensus in terms of Neta, but there was a consensus in terms of Niti. Their Niti is to insult the sentiments of more than 80-85 crore Hindus of the country. And I was also listening to Mr. Karthi Chidambaram, who alleged that BJP is a Brahminical party. Let me quote you from a study that was published in the Hindustan Times data. It's an excellent study done by an excellent researcher, Nishant Ranjan, who has argued that since independence, the Congress party, the so-called messiah of social justice, the so-called paragon of social justice, has made only 15% of its 250 chief ministers from the OBC community. On the other hand, it has been BJP who has been more accommodative when it comes to OBC representation. So everything, you are attacking Sanatan in the name of social justice. It's unacceptable.
You are attacking Sanatan in the name, Guru Prakash. No, Guru Prakash.
Country's history.
No. According to Udhayanidhi and Karthi Chidambaram, we are critiquing Hinduism from a Dravidian perspective. That we represent, according to Udhayanidhi Stalin, what he has said is no different to what a Periyar said, to what an Ambedkar said. The fact, according to Udhayanidhi Stalin, is he's just taking forward that argument to build a casteless society to annihilate caste, and Ambedkar moved out of Hinduism to become a Buddhist because he said, I will not accept Brahminical Hinduism.
Rajdeep ji, with all due respect, and I find it really laughable that you are comparing Udhayanidhi Stalin to Baba Saheb Ambedkar. I think you, of all the people, would know that Udhayanidhi Stalin is a product
I am not
of
comparing
dynasty.
him. He's not a comparison. He is quoting from Periyar and Ambedkar.
Rajdeep ji, so you are quoting, you are in a sense trying to justify, not you, but there are people in politics today who in a sense are trying to justify Udhayanidhi's statement in the context of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Udhayanidhi Stalin is a product of dynasty. Udhayanidhi Stalin is a product of privilege. For God's sake, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who was single-handedly responsible for lifting millions of underprivileged people. And it was today. And Mr. Karthi Chidambaram, of speaking of BJP being a Brahminical party, Rajdeep ji, you very well know, Ambedkar died in 1956. It took us more than 40 years after his death to give that man a Bharat Ratna. A non-Congress government in the center gives Baba Saheb Ambedkar a Bharat Ratna. Today there are 5 places linked to Baba Saheb Ambedkar which has been elevated to the status of Tirth. So there is absolutely no comparison. But there is a pattern, Rajdeep ji, which we need to understand. The statements made by Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin, it's not an isolated statement. There is a pattern, there is a design. Only a few days ago, we saw a Swami Prasad Maurya, a Samajwadi party leader, saying, spreading venom about Hinduism. Mr. Satish, a Pradesh Congress Committee president of Karnataka, he said Hindu बड़ा ही बुरा शब्द होता है. Gopal Italia, आम आदमी पार्टी, मंदिर में जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. Do not take me what Mr. Rahul Gandhi has said. जो लोग मंदिर में जाते हैं वो क्या क्या करते हैं. But we have to understand that there is a deep-seated hatred for Hindus in the so-called India Alliance. Rajdeep ji, I am live from Bihar today. In Bihar, the extreme of political appeasement is such that in parts of Purnia, parts of Khagaria, on the day of Friday, the schools are shut. On the other hand, on the contrary, Lok Astha ka Mahaparv Chhat Puja, the government is curtailing the holidays in the name of Chhat. So the end of extremism, this is a product of politics of appeasement. Okay. This is a product of denigrating the values, the ideals and the institutions of Sanatana Dharma. I ask you, Rajdeep ji, today, if you have real sense, what is the social justice that you have done? Have you given a representation? For the first time, we saw a woman from the tribal community reaching the highest constitutional office in the country, and these are the same people who, in the name of social justice, oppose that. Is that your idea of social justice? Is that your idea of Sanatana Dharma?
Okay, let Kancha, you've given me a very strong rebuttal. I think Kancha Ilaya, who's written again trenchant critiques of Hinduism, needs to respond. Kancha, how do you respond to what you heard from Guru Prasad Paswan? He says, look, the BJP stands for social justice. The Sanatan Dharma that Guru Prasad Paswan talks about, he believes stands for inclusivity and social justice.
Well, Rajdeep, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Yeah. There are two opinions here. What Udhayanidhi or Chidambaram are saying is that the concept Sanatan is not a pure religious concept, but it actually deeply links up to caste, untouchability and inequalities, including women, which of course Periyar's writings, you can see usage of this. If you see Ambedkar's writings, the idea of Sanatan is deeply linked up to Varna Dharma. Sanatan Dharma and Varna Dharma are deeply linked up, therefore caste, untouchability and the kind of women's inequality that came in, where the Hindu religion, what they are today calling, could not emerge as spiritual democracy, is caste and untouchability, women's inequality question. Now, I heard the BJP representative, I also heard BJP spokesperson today in the press conference, that they are saying Sanatan is an eternal law which will not change. Now, if that is the case, are they saying that Sanatan is an eternal law and caste and untouchability, inequality are not part of it, but they are part of this society before Muslims came, before British came, and after they left, even during Congress period and during BJP period. But BJP today has a bigger political moral responsibility because it is claiming that it is a Hindu party. Okay, whether one is a Dalit, one is an OBC, one is a upper caste, whatever it is, if they want India to be a Hindu religious-based country and political system too, can they tomorrow declare what is their agenda of abolition of caste? They are saying eradication of Varna Dharma, Sanatan Dharma is eradication of caste. Okay, you don't agree with it. But so far, in 15 years of BJP rule, no Dalit, Adivasi, Shudra in this country could hear what is their agenda of abolition of caste, abolition of untouchability.
They have made an Adivasi. No, Kancha Ilaiah, they will claim they have made an Adivasi the president of India. They will claim that they are pushing for greater Dalit political representation. So they are saying you are looking at the BJP from a narrow prism. They claim, this is the claim they make, that therefore they are actually looking at eradication of caste in their own way.
Now, Rajdeep, if you listen the debates between Rajgopalachari and Periyar, Rajgopalachari, though was not a supporter of Ambedkar, was claiming that they were supporting Jagjeevan Ram. See, this one individual, that one individual, in this position, on that position, is not abolition of caste stand. As an intellectual, as a writer, as a columnist, tell me, making one individual, whether it is Congress, K.R. Narayanan, or BJP Kovind, or today, Draupadi Murmu or whatever, is it a stand on abolition of caste inequality and women's inequality and making
so are you saying fundamentally, Kancha Ilaiah, you
BJP
believe...
people
are you saying...
are they
for
Shudra, Dalit, Adivasi equal priests?
Are you saying, therefore, you believe
Equal
fundamentally Sanatan Dharma is unequal?
Can they declare?
Sir, are you saying that Sanatan Dharma is fundamentally unequal?
No, that is what the histories... No, I don't have to say that. You look at the history of India writing from Rigveda to present.
Okay. Can I
when did the caste emerge? The idea of Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya and Brahmin, and till today, who are defending in written all these ideas.
Can I for a moment, just a minute, Kancha, let me get Guru Prasad to respond. You've raised again valid point.
California caste opposition law is opposed by them. That's the problem.
Okay, let Guru Prasad respond. It's all very well that you say you have an Adivasi as president, you previously had a Dalit. According to Kancha Ilaiah, history shows that the BJP or indeed Hindutva forces have traditionally supported what he describes as a Varna Dharma. You have not done enough. You don't want to break the caste system. When you say this is the eternal religion, where is the breaking down of caste? Where is the eradication? Where is the concerted effort to break down the barriers of caste? That there is a Manuvadi tinge.
Rajdeep ji, Kancha Ilaiah, Rajdeep ji, this is the day of Anu. India is reaching the south pole of the moon and you are still talking Manu. Let's get out of that mindset. Let's talk of Anu, let's talk of moon. We just sent a lunar mission, we just sent a mission to the sun. The country is no longer stuck in that
debate. Does that change the caste hierarchy? No, let me be honest, Guru Prasad Paswan, if you look at a classifieds item in newspapers today, they will again refer to caste identities. We can talk about going to Chandrayaan. Let's talk about the reality on the ground. Are you telling me caste does not exist on the ground? Are you telling me there is no caste discrimination, including in Bihar?
Rajdeep ji, you patiently listen to the observations of Mr. Kancha Ilaiah
I'm listening to you also.
I expect you extend the same courtesy to me. I expect you extend the same courtesy to me. So we have to understand a couple of things. I have read the works of Mr. Kancha Ilaiah Shepherd and the sort of venom that he is spreading in the name of caste. So he has made certain points. He has made certain points about Baba Sahib Ambedkar as well. You cannot selectively quote Ambedkar. Let me make this very clear tonight. Ambedkar is the same person who has said ki I consider Ramanujacharya as my guru. Ambedkar is the same person who is considering a paragon of Sanatan Dharma, Ramanujacharya, as his guru. So you have to understand, you cannot take it selectively, sir. And about the works, about the representation politics that has been in practice, you are very well aware, Rajdeep ji, since 1952 to 2020, There was not a single Dalit sent to Rajya Sabha from the presidential nomination route of art and culture. For the first time, Padam Shri Ilayya Raja, the music maestro from Dalit community, was the first person to send to the Rajya Sabha through the presidential nomination route. So we don't need any certificate from Mr. Kancha Ilayya Shepherd, and we have to agree that across the country, and as per the data by the Association of Democratic Reforms, they have put it across that 40% people from the marginalized section are strongly standing in support of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Number one. Number two, if you look at it culturally, if you look at it civilizationally, who authored the Mahabharata? Maharishi Vedvyas. What caste did he belong to? I want to ask Mr. Kancha Ilayya Shepherd. Come to Ramayana. Maharishi Valmiki. Which caste did Maharishi Valmiki belong to? I want to ask Mr. Kancha Ilayya Shepherd. You come to Constitution of India, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Kabir, Ravidas, all the poets from the Bhakti tradition, they are all represented. They have made supreme sacrifices for the culture, for the civilization, for the nation.
Okay.
The concerted narrative by a section of the intelligentsia, it's completely unacceptable and unwarranted.
Okay,
For the last 9 years, Rajiv ji, you would agree to this.
I have a third guest joining me, Professor Sandeep Shastri. Professor Sandeep Shastri, politically, how does this play out? Here you are hearing Guru Prasad Paswan that the BJP has had this outreach to Dalits, to Adivasi groups, to marginalized groups, and then you have Udhayanidhi Stalin virtually suggesting that the BJP or indeed the forces against the DMK represent Brahminical Hinduism.
Rajdeep, I think one point we are all forgetting is content has to be looked in context. What Kancha Ilayya ji said, what Paswan ji said, both make eminent sense. In the particular situation we are talking about, I think what was said in Tamil Nadu needs to be seen in the context of Tamil Nadu. And when we are seeing in this country the difference between all India parties and state-based parties, this is one of the issues that come up. A state-based party looks at issues in the context of that particular state, whereas a national party would try to look at it from a national canvas, changing the context. And when you change the context, the issue has totally different ramifications.
No, but doesn't that make it embarrassing for the national party? Doesn't that make it embarrassing for a national alliance?
That's why you'll hear now in any alliance you will have this embarrassment, be it the NDA or the opposition alliance. There are multiple voices which come up, and each of them develop ways in which we deal with it. But I think we must make a second point, Rajdeep, which is if Udhayanidhi Stalin's statement had come in the middle of an election term, it would not have attracted the type of attention it has. It has attracted attention because it has come just before the elections. And third and last, let's also remember the whole response to Udhayanidhi Stalin is also a response to what we could see as a very clearly emerging North-South political divide, be it on the issue of the new delimitation, be it on language. There are so many issues coming up. This is part of that larger debate. It is part of that larger politics of opposition to domination. So I think we need not look at the issue solely in its specific, in the specific content we are talking about. There's a larger political context.
You know,
I think both sides are looking at the debate from their context.
Given that context, Kancha Ilayya, couldn't Udhayanidhi Stalin perhaps have looked at the wider politics in which we are now playing out? When you make these kind of vicious attacks, which would be seen as venomous, when you link Sanatana Dharma and say it should be eradicated like dengue and malaria, the language you use will be interpreted as hate speech.
No, there is a scope for interpreting, and particularly when Home Minister himself picked up this whole small conference somewhere where he spoke, and then the whole entire BJP ruling structures have come out. Now, look at this. If BJP is saying that this is a language of appeasement during the vote phase, at the same time they are saying that 80% of Indians who are non-Muslims, non-Christians, don't accept this. Now, where does this language influence? Why are they worried about it? it could be treated as a fringe. You know, but why they are not treating it as a fringe? Because one problem BJP has, it can show, you know, there is a caste untouchability, throwing out from temples here. It can, BJP intellectual can say we are going to moon and we are going to sun. This is not the issue. For a human being living as unequal, all Dalits, Shudras, OBCs, majority, this is an issue. Your son is not going to give them food. If you don't give dignity of labor in your day-to-day political national administration by abolishing caste inequality, which is rooted in indignity of labor, what are you showing about sun and moon for a sufferer, beggar, untouchable? This doesn't work. Now that means they are in a way scared that this might influence SC, ST, OBC, Shudras at a larger level. In UP, the Shudra question has come after Ramcharitmanas, and including Akhilesh Yadav said, yes, I am a Shudra. Why did they say? Lalu Prasad did not say that. Mulayam Singh did not say that. Today these young leaders are saying, I am Shudra. And Udhayanidhi, who is a very young guy, is speaking Periyar language. Now, whom do they want to influence? Definitely they would like to influence SC, ST, OBCs. Certainly not Muslims with this.
So you're saying there is a political competitive, what we are done therefore, what we seem to be caught in is competitive politics. Essentially what we are seeing is how politics plays out, particularly in the times in which we live, and therefore there is a tendency to further polarize and divide. I ask my viewers tonight, wouldn't you want more questions on quality of governance in this country than being trapped in these long-held antagonisms of caste and community? That's a question that you, the viewer, have to answer. And can Hindutvavadi forces go into this debate with clean hands when they will talk about others as Babar ki aulad? Think about it. We need people to come together, to bridge, to be bridge builders, not dividing forces, whether it's an Udhayanidhi or indeed whether it's a Hindutvavadi force. Think about it. Thank you all very much for joining me on that.